Hello friends. In the last video we had discussed about first law of thermodynamics, in which we had discussed what is importance of zeroth law of thermodynamics, what is the statement of zeroth law of thermodynamics. Then we had discussed first law of thermodynamic difference statement, and after that we had discussed about Joule's experiment. Based on that we have derived the relationship between W and Q, that is the relationship between heat and work. And after that we had uh, discussed about universal sign convention for heat and work. In that we had discussed that when work is done by the system it is positive, and when work is done on the system it is considered as negative. If it is supplied to the system it is considered with positive sign, and if heat is rejected from the system it is considered as negative one. The link for the first law of thermodynamic part 1 is given in the description box. You can refer that video related to first law of thermodynamics part 1. And after that we will derive steady flow energy equation, and now we will continue with that steady flow energy equation. And after that we will discuss about non-flow energy equations, and after that we have to solve some numerical related to application of first law of thermodynamics. So friends, in the last video we had derived the steady flow energy equation, and that was H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus ZZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus ZZ2 plus W by M, where H is enthalpy, C is the velocity, Z is the height, Q is the heat, W is the work, where the unit of equation number 19 is joule per kilogram. But if the unit is kilojoule per kilogram for enthalpy, in that case we have to modify the steady flow energy equation, and our revised equation for the unit kilojoule per kilogram is H1 plus C1 square by 2000 plus GZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2000 plus GZ2 plus W by M. So what we have to do is, instead of C square by 2, we have to put C square by 2000 if enthalpy is considered in terms of kilojoule per kilogram. Now we have to discuss some applications related to steady flow energy equation. That is, we have to apply steady flow energy equation to various devices which we are practicing in engineering. So now we consider the first application for SFE, that is nozzle and diffuser. So first, what is called nozzle? So nozzle is a device in which the cross-section area is decreased in the direction of fluid flow. Or you can say nozzle is a device in which rise in the kinetic energy is observed at the cost of pressure. So you can say in general, nozzle means a device in which there is rise in the kinetic energy. Now the second device which we can consider is a diffuser. So diffuser is exactly opposite to the nozzle. So you can say diffuser may be defined as a device in which the cross-section area is continuously increased in the direction of fluid flow. Or you can say diffuser is a device in which pressure rise is observed at the cost of velocity. So nozzle and diffuser are working exactly opposite to each other under subsonic flow. So you can see the figure number 9, that is a conversion diversion nozzle, and we have to discuss about the flow of fluid through the nozzle. What is called fluid? The substance which can flow is known as fluid. So all the liquids and all the gases are example of fluid. So whenever we are using the term fluid, means we are discussing either in terms of all the liquids or we are talking for the gases. Here you can see the P1, T1 and C1, that is suffix 1, that is for inlet, and suffix 2 is for outlet, where P1 is the pressure at inlet, T1 is the temperature of fluid at inlet, C1 is the velocity of fluid at inlet, whereas P2, V2 or P2, C2 and T2, that is the pressure, velocity and temperature at outlet. So now we have to find out what is the steady flow energy equation for this nozzle. So now when we are applying the steady flow energy equation to the nozzle, we know the equation, that is H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus GZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus GZ2 plus W by M in terms of joule per kilogram. So here we can find some assumption for derivation of equation for nozzle. The first assumption which we are making here is nozzle and diffuser are properly shaped duct to achieve the flow acceleration and deceleration, and thus not involve any work interaction. Means work interaction is zero. In nozzle and diffuser, little or there is a no change in its elevation. So neglect neglect the change in potential energy change, that is change in potential energy is negligible. So delta P is negligible, it is not zero, it is negligible. And the third one is because of provision of insulation and because of very high velocity of fluid, no heat transfer is possible. So Q is 0. So now equation 21, that is the general equation for steady flow energy, is reduced to H1 plus C1 square by 2, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2, where H1 and H2, that is enthalpy of the substance at inlet and outlet, whereas C1 and C2, that is the velocity of the fluid at inlet and outlet. So the velocity of fluid at outlet, that is exit velocity of the fluid, that is equals to C2. You can say that is also equals to V2, that is equals to under root of 2 into H1 minus H2 plus C1 square by 2 in terms of meter per second. The second device which we have to discuss is the boiler. So you know the boiler is used to convert water into steam, and it is a closed vessel. Here the flue gases are used to increase the temperature of water, and water is converted into steam. So boiler is nothing but a one kind of heat exchanger. So now for this boiler you can see at height Z1 or at elevation Z1 the water is enter into the boiler drum, and at elevation Z2 the steam is leaving the system, that is Z2 is much higher than Z1. At base you can see heat is supplied, water is filled in the boiler drum and steam is generated, and at section 2 the steam is leaving the system. So the steady flow energy equation for the boiler is H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus GZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus GZ2 plus W by M in terms of joule per kilogram. So boiler is defined as a closed vessel in which water is converted into steam by burning of fuel in presence of air at desired pressure, at desired temperature, and at desired mass flow rate. You can find the boiler in the thermal power plants, in the pharmaceutical industry, in the dairy, in the chemical industry, etc. Now we have to apply certain assumption in the steady flow energy equation to derive the equation for boiler. So the first assumption which we are making is the work on the system or work by the system is equals to 0. Means W is 0 in this case. Neglect the change in kinetic energy and potential energy means we are neglecting, it is not zero. We are neglecting the change in kinetic energy and potential energy. So the term Gz and c square by 2 is negligible, and because of that we'll get what is the amount of heat supplied to the boiler, that Q, that is equals to m dot s, that is mass of steam, into bracket you can find H2 minus H1, that is enthalpy of steam at outlet minus enthalpy of water at inlet. So heat supplied to the boiler Q, that is equals to m into bracket H2 minus H1, unit is kilojoule per kilogram into kilogram, so unit is kilojoule. So this is SFE equation for boiler. Now the next device which we have to discuss is turbine. So either it is a steam turbine or it is a gas turbine or it is a hydraulic turbine. So generally turbines are available, you can say, in the thermal power plant, in the hydro power plant, or in a gas turbine power plant. So the function of turbine is to convert mechanical work into electrical energy, or it has to produce mechanical work at the cost of enthalpy of working substance which is passing through the heat. So you can find it inlet, the working substance is available with high energy. Its energy is utilized to run the rotor of the turbine. Because of that, mechanical work is available, and the fluid with a low value of energy, that is coming at outlet, that is at section 2. So again, we know that the turbine is available in hydropower plant, in the steam power plant, as well as in the gas turbine power plant. So the steady flow energy equation for the turbine you can say is H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus GZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus GZ2 plus W by M in terms of joule per kilogram. Now certain assumption which we are making here is, first, turbine is insulated, so no heat transfer is observed, so the term Q by M is 0. Second, neglect, very important, neglect, not 0. Neglect the change in kinetic energy and potential energy, that is the term c square by 2 and gz is neglected, or change in kinetic energy and change in potential energy is neglected. So our equation is H1, that is equals to H2 plus W by M. So W, that is net work available from the turbine, that is equals to M into H1 minus H2. Here this enthalpy drop will cause the mechanical work, or this enthalpy drop is, you can say, main reason for production of mechanical work. So the equation for turbine is M into H1 minus H2 in terms of kilojoule. Now the next device which we can see is a rotary compressor. So this rotary compressor is used to increase the pressure of compressible fluid. So the fluid which can be compressed, that is called compressible fluid. So all the gases are example of compressible fluid. So the function of compressor is to increase the pressure of compressible fluid. So here what you can observe is, at inlet with the pressure P1 and with the temperature T1, the compressible fluid is entering, and at outlet we will observe high pressure, high temperature fluid, that is compressed fluid is available. The compressor is available, this particularly rotary compressor is available in a Brayton cycle, that is in gas turbine power plant. It is attached with the turbine, and we had discussed about Brayton cycle in detail in our previous video. In the description box, the link is available for Brayton cycle. If you want to go through that Brayton cycle, refer the link and go through that video. So now we have to apply the steady flow energy equation to the compressor. So the most general equation which is known to us is H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus GZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus GZ2 plus W by M in terms of joule per kilogram. We can find the compressor in the closed cycle gas turbine power plant also. That is when we'll talk about combination of nuclear power plant and gas turbine power plant, that is called combined cycle power plant. In that case also we can find the rotary compressor. So now certain assumption which we have to discuss here are: first, neglect the change in potential energy and kinetic energy, means delta Ke and delta Pe is negligible. That is, change in kinetic energy and potential energy is negligible. Because of provision of insulation, there is no heat transfer through the compressor. So the term Q by M, that is 0. And because of that, we'll observe H1, that is equals to H2 plus Wm, or you can say Wm, that is equals to H1 minus H2, that is enthalpy before compression minus enthalpy after compression. And here what we know is when the work is supplied to the system, it is considered as negative. So now W, that is the work supplied to the system, that is equals to M into H2 minus H1, where M is the mass of substance or mass of fluid, H2 that is enthalpy after compression, and H1 that is enthalpy before compression. So definitely when work is supplied, enthalpy after compression is higher. So W, that is equals to M into H2 minus H1, that is a steady flow energy equation for rotary compressor. Now the next device which we have to discuss is heat exchanger. So what is called heat exchanger, how the heat exchanger will work, all these things are available in one video, that is basic fundamentals of heat exchanger. In the description box the link is given for fundamentals of heat exchanger. So heat exchanger is a mechanical device in which exchange of heat takes place between two fluids. Definitely both the fluid must be at different temperature, with maximum rate, with minimum investment, and with minimum running cost. So here you can find a heat exchanger in which from one side one fluid, that is water, is entering and water is leaving. From other side the wet steam is entering and condensate is coming out. So two fluids are available. Both the fluid may directly in contact with each other, or both may not be in contact with each other. So this is a figure of surface condenser where the function of this heat exchanger is to exchange the heat between two fluids, and at the end what we'll observe is the wet steam temperature will drop and that heat is carried by the water, so water outlet temperature is increased. So you can say heat loss by the steam, that is equals to heat gain by the water. So when we apply the steady flow energy equation to the heat exchanger, the general equation which is known to us is H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus GZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus GZ2 plus W by M, unit is joule per kilogram. Now the assumption in the derivation are: so the first assumption is neglect the change in kinetic energy and potential energy. So delta Zz and delta C square by 2 terms are negligible. Second assumption is no work transfer and hence W by M is 0. So we will get Q, that is equals to mass of water into enthalpy difference for water, and that is also equals to mass of steam into enthalpy difference for steam. Here heat loss by the hot fluid, that is heat loss by the steam, that is equals to heat gain by the cold fluid, or you can say that is equals to heat gain by the water. So this equation number 27a and 27b are steady flow energy equation for heat exchanger. Now the next device which we have to discuss is a throttling device. So throttling is the process refers to the passage of a fluid through some restricted openings like partially opened valve, or you can say an orifice, or you can say a porous plug. When the fluid will flow through the restricted passage, there is appreciable drop in the pressure and we can say the flow is throttled. The pressure drop in the fluid is accompanied by a large drop in the temperature, and for this reason the throttling devices are widely used in refrigeration and air conditioning applications. So you can refer here section 1 and 2. One is inlet section, that is before throttling process, and section 2, that is after throttling process. So now we have to derive the steady flow energy equation for this throttling device. So the most general SFE equation is H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus GZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus GZ2 plus W by M. Unit is joule per kilogram. So now certain assumptions are: first, due to insulation, no heat transfer is observed through the pipe. So Q by M is 0. There is no work done and hence work transfer is 0. So W by M, that is also 0. Neglect the change in potential energy and kinetic energy. So we will get H1 equals to H2 in terms of joule per kilogram. Means the enthalpy of the fluid before throttling and enthalpy of the fluid after throttling remains same. So this process is known as isenthalpic process, or it is also known as constant enthalpy process. So till this point we were discussing about steady flow energy equation, where the mass of the fluid does not vary with variation in the time. But now we have to discuss certain example of variable flow or unsteady flow system. Such cases can be analyzed either by a system technique or control volume technique. However, there exist a number of systems such as filling of bottle, or you can say filling of tank, or you can say emptying a vessel, or emptying a bottle, or emptying a tank, in which properties of the fluid changes continuously as the process proceeds. It is also known as the transient flow process. So we are considering two cases. First, where filling of the bottle or filling of the tank, and second case is emptying of tank or tank discharge or emptying a bottle. So now we will consider next case, that is variable flow or unsteady flow system. So we'll consider the first case, that is filling of tank or filling of the bottle. So now we are considering the case of filling of bottle or filling of the tank, where you can see one pipeline, and through the valve the pipeline is connected to the tank. So we know that when the valve is open, the fluid from the pipeline which is flowing, that is start to enter into the tank. So here you can say for the tank, M1 is the initial mass of fluid that is available in the tank or bottle. M1 may be 0, M1 may not be 0. That is initial mass of the fluid. P1 is the initial pressure of the fluid in the bottle. V1, that is initial specific volume of the fluid inside the bottle. And T1, that is initial temperature of the fluid into the bottle. Whereas in the similar way, we can consider M2, P2, V2 and T2, that is final state. That is suffix 1, that represent the initial state, and suffix 2, that is representing the final state of the fluid inside the tank. Whereas the suffix E represent the entering state of the fluid into the bottle. So if I am telling ME, PE, VE and TE, that is the mass, pressure, temperature and specific volume of the fluid which is entering into the bottle or entering into the tank. So if we consider M1 is the mass, initial mass of fluid available in the bottle or tank, then you can say at the end of the process, the total fluid available in the bottle, that is M2 minus M1, because initially some mass is available and M2 is the final mass. So the energy of the fluid entering the bottle, you can say that is M2 minus M1 into UE plus PE into VE. P into V, that is the flow work, and E, that is entering state, plus CE square by 2. So you can replace U plus PV by enthalpy, and we can write the energy of fluid entering the bottle, that is equals to M2 minus M1 into bracket HE, that is enthalpy of the fluid at entering state, plus velocity of fluid at entering state, that is CE square by 2. Now Q, that is heat supplied to the bottle. In that case, we can say that M2 minus M1 into He plus Ce square by 2 plus Q, that is heat supplied to the bottle or to the tank, and that is equals to M2U2 minus M1U1. M2 and U2, that is final state, and M1U1, that is initial state of mass and internal energy. When the bottle is filled with the water, Q is 0 in equation number 32, and because of that what we will get is M2 minus M1 into He plus C square by 2, that is equals to M2U2 minus M1U1. Again, if the bottle is, or if the tank is empty at initial stage, means if M1 is 0 at initial stage, we will get M2, that is equals to M2 into He plus C square by 2, that is equals to M2 into U2. So on both the side M2 is a common, so we are eliminating that part. So we'll get He, that is enthalpy at entering state, plus velocity at entering state, that is C square by 2, that is equals to U2, that is internal energy at final state. That is equation number 34 for filling of tank or filling of bottle under unsteady flow system or for variable flow system. Now the next case which we have to consider is emptying the bottle. So emptying bottle is exactly opposite to the filling of bottle. So in case of filling bottle or filling of tank, initially tank is with very less mass or no mass and the fluid is entering. Whereas in case of emptying of the tank or bottle, initially the bottle or tank is fully filled and now the fluid will leave the system, and because of that at the end the fluid may be available or may not be available in the bottle or in tank. So we can say that M1 is the mass of fully filled bottle at initial stage, and M2, that is mass of fully filled, fully emptied bottle at end state, and definitely M1 is greater than M2. So we can write that M1 minus M2 into bracket H1 plus C1 square by 2 minus Q, that is equals to M1U1 minus M2U2, where 1, that is initial state and 2 is the final state. So equation number 35 which you can see is the equation for emptying a bottle or emptying a tank, that is a variable flow or unsteady flow system. So now friend, we had considered two cases, one is the steady flow and one is variable flow. So now we have to solve sample numerical for a steady flow energy equation as well as for unsteady flow system. So first we will consider a data related to steady flow energy equation. So in the data it is given that a steam enters a nozzle at a pressure of 7 bar and 20 degrees Celsius. Initial enthalpy, that is 2850 kilojoule per kilogram, bracket complete, and leaves at a pressure of 1.5 bar. The initial velocity of the steam at the entrance is 40 meter per second and the exit velocity from the nozzle is 700 meter per second. The mass flow rate through the nozzle is 1400 kilogram per hour. The heat loss from the nozzle is 11,705 kilojoule per hour. Determine the final enthalpy and exit area. So here friends, you can see if the enthalpy values are not given, we have to use the steam table, and from the steam table we have to find out what is the enthalpy values. But here the enthalpy values are given in terms of kilojoule per kilogram. So when we are writing the equation for this steam nozzle, we have to write c square by 2000. That is a very important thing. So now we will discuss the solution of it. So you can see the general equation is h1 plus c1 square by 2 plus gz1 plus q by m, that is equals to h2 plus c2 square by 2 plus gz2 plus w by m. Unit is joule per kilogram. But here the enthalpy is given in terms of kilojoule per kilogram. So our equation is changed, and that is h1 plus c1 square by 2000 plus gz1 by 1000 plus q plus h2 plus c2 square by 2000 plus gz2 by 1000 plus w kilojoule per kilogram. Now we know what is the value of q, that is q by m. So the value of q is given 11,705, whereas the mass is given 1,400. So we will get the value of q, that is 8.36 kilojoule per kilogram. And so when we'll put all the values, we are neglecting the change in potential energy because Z1 and Z2 elevation difference is negligible. So we will get H2, that is equals to 2597.44 kilojoule per kilogram. So that is our first answer. And now according to the continuity equation, that is M, that is equals to rho A C2 or rho 2 A2 C2. So based on that, we can say that area at outlet A2, that is equals to M into 1 upon rho, that is the specific volume, divided by velocity. So mass is known to us, specific volume is known to us, velocity is known to us. So based on that, we can find out the area at outlet, that is 6.88 centimeters square, where mass value is given 1400 kilogram per hour. So that is 1400 divided by 3600. What is the value of velocity that is given? That is 700 meter per second, that is also given, and the specific volume, that is 1.24, that is also given in the data. So we'll get the exit area, that is equals to 6.88 centimeters square. So friend, whenever we have to solve any numerical related to steady flow energy equation, we have to put the general equation in which we have to put certain assumption, like here change in potential energy is negligible. Then we put all the data with correct unit, and definitely we are having a correct answer. So we try to solve one more numerical based on this first law of thermodynamics. And the data is: determine the power required to drive a centrifugal pump to deliver 0.56 kg per second of water. It is available at a pressure of 1 bar and delivery pressure is 25 bar. Assume the specific volume of water to be 0.001045 meter cube per kg. So here we have to find out what is the power required to run the centrifugal pump. We know that centrifugal pump is a power consuming device and we have to supply work to it. And when the work is supplied, the water level or water head will raise from lower head to upper head. So now we will find out what is solution of it. Showing the data, it is given that initial pressure is 1 bar, final pressure is 25 bar, specific volume is given 0.001045 meter cube per kg, and the mass of water delivered, that is 0.56 kilogram per second. So now the SFE for pump, that is H1 plus C1 square by 2 plus GZ1 plus Q by M, that is equals to H2 plus C2 square by 2 plus GZ2 plus W by M in terms of joule per kilogram. So because of insulation, no heat transfer, so Q by N term is 0. Neglect the change in potential energy and kinetic energy. So we are having H1, that is equals to H2 minus W by M. Or you can say W by M, that is equals to H1 minus H2. Now we know that H1, that is U1 plus P1 V1, and H2, that is U2 plus P2 V2. So we can write that U1 plus P1 V1, that is equals to U2 plus P2 V2 plus W. And we know that U1, that is equals to U2, that is internal energy at inlet and outlet remains same. So we can say that P1 V1 minus P2 V2, that is equals to W by M, and we can say that W by M, that is V, that is volume for water at inlet and outlet remains same. So W by M, that is equals to V into P1 minus P2. So V, that is specific volume given 0.001045. P1 pressure initially is given 1 bar, that is 1 into 10 power 5 Newton per meter square, and the final pressure is 25 bar, that is minus 25 into 10 power 5. So W by M answer is minus 2508, that is minus 2508 joule per kilogram. Means you can say that the work is done on the system. So the power required to drive the pump, that is M into W. So the value of W is minus 2508 and mass is 0.56. So the power required is minus 1404.48 joule per second, or that is minus 1.405 kilowatt. That is power required to drive the pump is minus 1.405 kilowatt, or you can say the power required to drive the pump is minus 1.405 kilowatt. Here the negative sign indicate that the work must be done on the system, that is work must be done on the pump, and because of that the power which we have to supply, that value is 1.405 kilowatt. So just go through this solution. Now we consider the next case, that is in an IC engine. At the end of exhaust stroke, its combustion chamber is filled with 0.00011 kilogram of exhaust gas at 750 Kelvin and atmospheric pressure. The piston then descend on the intake stroke, sucking 0.0016 kg of air at 293 Kelvin in the cylinder. If the suction process is assumed to be takes place at constant atmospheric pressure, and if heat transfer is negligible, find the temperature and pressure of the mixture at end of the intake stroke. Means friend, this is a case related to variable flow where some of the mass of exhaust gas is available at end of the exhaust stroke in the engine cylinder, and now the suction stroke begins. Because of that, the fresh charge will enter into the cylinder, and we have to find out temperature and pressure of the mixture of fresh air which is entering into the system plus exhaust gas which is available. So what is the pressure and temperature of the mixture at end of the suction stroke? So this is the case similar to the filling of bottle or filling of the tank, and we try to find out what is solution of it. So friend, the theory which we have discussed for filling of tank, we have to repeat that here. So we know that the suffix 1 and 2 denotes the condition of working fluid before and after suction stroke, and you can say the equation which we can write is m2 minus m1 into bracket he plus c square by 2 plus q, that is equals to m2u2 minus m1u1 plus q. As there is no heat interaction, the Q value is 0 and Ce also the 0, that is the velocity at which fluid is entering. So the remaining equation which is available with us is m2 minus m1 into bracket enthalpy of entering fluid, that is equals to m2u2 minus m1u1, where we know that He, that is enthalpy, that is equals to Cp into temperature of that reservoir. So M1, so M2 minus M1 into Cp into T reservoir, that is equals to M2U2 minus M1U1. So upon simplification, you can observe M1 into Cp1 T1 plus M2 minus M1 into Cp into T reservoir, that is equals to M2 Cp2 into T2. So we are converting H by Cp and U also in terms of Cp and T. So we know what is the value of M1, what is the value of Cp, what is the temperature values, that is T1 value. So only unknown is T2. So we know the value of M1, that is 0.00011, value of M2, that is also known to us, that is 0.0016. What is the Cp? That is 1.005. What is the temperature initial? That is 750 Kelvin, that is given in the data. And the reservoir temperature, that is 293. So when we'll calculate, we will find that the T2 temperature, that is temperature of the mixture, that is 337 Kelvin, and definitely the suction pressure is 1 bar. So the mixture which is available at end of the suction stroke into the engine cylinder is having temperature that is equals to 337 Kelvin, whereas the pressure is a suction pressure, that is 1 bar. So this is solution of this numerical. Now friends, in this video we have discussed about steady flow energy equation, application of steady flow energy equation to the different devices that include turbine, compressor, pump, boiler, heat exchanger, throttling device. After that we have discussed about variable flow system or unsteady flow system. Also, we have derived the equations for tank filling or bottle filling process and tank emptying or bottle emptying process, and based on that we have solved some sample numerical for steady flow energy equation as well as for variable flow. So do not forget to subscribe this channel, like this channel and share this channel. Have a nice day. Thank you.